Hey there, fellow Heaven Dream Builders. Roger here with the Heaven's Dream Builder Challenge and the Heaven's Dream Builder Academy. My apologies for the uh, lack of Hawaiian shirt. The Hawaiian shirt's usually my branding, my front side. But once you get to know me and we start to get a little bit more comfortable, this is the kind of attire I like. These sort of, stretchy exercise wear and pullovers. You kind of have to find yourself, and that's where I found myself. But I wanted to share something with you. Yeah, you guys have been on my heart, and I know we have gone through the challenge, and hopefully the challenge blessed you. I went on a walk with my daughter last night, and I was just, I was asking Lord, what else can I do to inspire them, touch them, help the members of the community grow, and just continue on their journey in going after the dream that God had put in their heart. And He reminded me of something that He did for me quite a long time ago. And, for a long time, I had this dream of doing something significant. I can't explain it. I just had this something big in my heart to want to impact and help people and touch them and help them with their lives. And as you get to know me, you'll hear the whole story. And I certainly don't want to bore you with it at the moment. But I was always, I never stepped out in the dream. I was either I didn't know what to do, or I didn't have the money, or, a lot of times I was afraid, what if I do it and I fail? What if I, step out and it doesn't work and I look like a fool? And all these things, just bombard our brain and really hold us back, almost hold us hostage to a set of circumstances that we just don't really enjoy, and we don't really like. We don't feel like we're fulfilled, or that we're actually going after that which is inside of us. And sometimes we get comfortable just dreaming it. Just dreaming it kind of keeps us alive. But after a while, it starts to egg on you, and there starts to come a sense that I've got to get going. I got to step out. And so one of the things the Lord did to bless me and encourage me that I was heading on the right path was He brought this book across my path by the name of The Dream Giver by Bruce Wilkinson. If you haven't read it, it's a powerful book. It's a wonderful book. I encourage you to read it. But it's a book of about a story. The story, I'm going to just read a little bit to you. I thought I'd read you a story, a bedtime story, right? But it said that it's the story of Ordinary, a nobody who leaves the land of familiar to pursue his big dream. And basically the parable follows Ordinary on the journey to his dream. And it'll introduce you to the big idea that God has for you. And so what I thought I'd do is just kind of read something to you here, the first chapter, and then share with you what happened to me that kind of confirm I was on the right path. Because for a long time, I really doubted. I questioned. I was in fear. I was worried. Like I said, I had all these excuses for why I didn't step out. And I would plan and plan and plan. And, I went in this circle for so many years, just torturing myself. But let me just read to you chapter 1 here for a second. And it basically says, just get your favorite motion pose, sit back. I'm going to read you a story. And so the first chapter starts off with Ordinary embraces his big dream. Now, not long ago and not far away, a nobody named Ordinary lived in the land of familiar. Every day was pretty much the same for Ordinary. In the morning, he got up and went to his usual job. After work, he ate almost the same dinner he'd eaten the evening before. And then he sat in his recliner and watched the box that memorized most nobodies on most nights. Sometimes Best Friend came over to join Ordinary in front of the box. Sometimes Ordinary went to his parents and they watched together. For the most part, not much happened in Familiar that hadn't happened before. Ordinary thought he was content. He found the routines reliable. He blended in with the crowd. And mostly, he wanted only what he had. Until the day Ordinary noticed a small, nagging feeling that something big was missing in his life. Or maybe the feeling was that he was missing something big. He wasn't sure. The little feeling grew, and even though nobodies in Familiar didn't generally expect the unexpected, Ordinary began to wish for it. Time passed. Then, one morning, Ordinary woke up with these words echoing in his mind. What are you missing? You already have. Oh, sorry. What you're missing, you already have. Could it be? Ordinary looked and looked, and then he discovered in a small corner of his heart lay a big dream. The big dream told him that he, a nobody, was made to be somebody and destined to achieve great things. Jumping out of bed, Ordinary discovered something else. a long white feather resting on the sill of his window. Where did it come from? What did it mean? And with a jolt of excitement, Ordinary decided he'd been visited by the dream giver. Now, Ordinary had heard rumors of various nobodies in Familiar waking up to a big dream, but he'd never imagined that it could happen to him. He rushed to get dressed, his big dream beating brightly in his chest. He couldn't wait to get to his usual job and tell his best friend the news. But on his way to work, Ordinary realized he had a big problem. His big dream was too big for a nobody like Ordinary. He would be embarrassed to tell anyone. Even best friend would probably laugh. Still, Ordinary was too excited to keep his dream to himself. As soon as he saw best friend, he blurted out the news. "The dream giver gave me a big dream. I was made to be somebody and destined to achieve great things." Best friend looked surprised, but he didn't laugh. That's very big, he said. "But if I were you, I wouldn't talk about this dream of yours too much. Nobody's around here might take you for a fool." Ordinary didn't want to look like a fool, so after that he kept his big dream to himself. Day after day, Ordinary showed up at his usual job, but while he worked, he thought about his dream. He thought about how wonderful it would be to do what he loved to do instead of just dreaming about it. Ordinary's longing for his big dream grew and grew until finally he realized that he'd never be happy unless he could pursue it. Why didn't the dream giver make it possible? If the dream giver didn't, how could Ordinary ever leave Familiar? He had payments and expenses. He had regular duties. A lot of nobodies counted on him for a lot of things. Ordinary felt completely stuck. Time passed, but nothing changed. He began to hate his usual job. "This isn't what I was made to do," he'd say to himself. "I just know it." After a while, he began to worry that maybe he hadn't received a big dream after all. Maybe he'd just made it all up, and he grew sadder by the day. Then, one evening after work, Ordinary went to his parents to watch the box. But their box was broken, so the house was very quiet. It was even more quiet because his mother was out shopping at Familiar Foods. In the quietness, Ordinary started to think about his dream again. He looked over at his father sitting in his recliner, staring at the single page of nobody news. Maybe he could help. "Father," said Ordinary, "I'm growing sadder and sadder by the day. I don't like my usual job anymore. In fact, I think I hate it." Father looked up. "That's terrible," he said. "What happened?" Before he could stop himself, Ordinary started talking about the dream giver and about his big dream. "I was made to be somebody and achieve great things," he said. And then he told his father the name of his dream. As he spoke, his voice trembled. He was sure that his father would laugh or call him a fool. But his father didn't. "I'm not surprised to hear you say these things," he said. "You're not?" said Ordinary. "No," his father said. "You've had that dream ever since you were little. Don't you remember? You used to build that same dream with the sticks and mud in front of this very house." Then Ordinary did remember. He'd always had his dream. It was what he'd always wanted to do, and what he'd always thought he'd be good at doing. His eyes filled with tears. "Father," he said, "I think I was born to do this." And I'm going to stop there for a second because I wanted to share with you, as I read that book myself, it was at a time where I was really questioning whether I was on the path, whether I was doing what I was supposed to do. I knew something big in my heart needed to be accomplished. And what was really interesting, I'm going to share this with you guys. I've never shared this outside of my family. But during the time that I was going and reading this book, right when we were talking about the feather, my son found this beautiful feather and had picked it up for me while I was on a layover in Denver. And I was just shocked that, this feather came into my life right when I'm reading about the dream giver giving the dream giver giving the feather to the nobody and or Ordinary, if you will. And so I wanted to encourage you that maybe this little talk that we're having here is your feather, right? Is that God has given you a dream. He birthed it in you. Your job is to let him do it through you and allow him to steward it. What happens is when we get in the way of thinking that we have to do it ourselves, that's when it doesn't get accomplished because we're trying to do it on our own strength. And the Lord specifically instructed us, not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. And so I just wanted to encourage you and give you a breath of life. I know that stepping out to become part of the academy is a big step of faith. I certainly know myself over the years, the steps that I had to make. Some of them were really scary. Some of them I questioned whether or not they would return an investment for me. But the whole process that I went through, God used every step of the way, because he says in his word that I use all things together for good to those who love him. Now, there are things we can do to accelerate our path, and then there are things we can do to delay our path. Either way, God will use it all for our good. But I wanted to encourage you to join us in this Heaven's Dream Builder Academy, because our heart is to help all those who have been given a dream in their heart that for whatever reason haven't either stepped out to launch it, or maybe they're hesitating, or maybe they're running into frustration and they're not getting the wisdom they need to overcome their challenges. Maybe it was a business that just hasn't reached the level of results that they know in their heart that it should, and they're just needing that extra bit of wisdom. I wanted to encourage you to join hands with us, become part of the Heaven's Dream Builder Academy, and join hands and help us to go out and reach all those dreamers that are out there, those people with a vision in their heart, a dream for their business, their ministry, or their life that just haven't haven't seen it come to pass. Let's work together to help touch them and bring them into the fold and help them accomplish that dream. Because, like I said, evil can only prevail when the children of God fail to step out in what he's called them to do. And so, while we'll never keep evil at bay, we certainly can put it in its right timeline. And we are, no question about it, entering in these last hours of the last days. And so let's work together to make this final push to bring as many as we possibly can into the kingdom. Because we have to remember, the kingdom of heaven is within us. It's not out here. It's not what we accomplish. It's not what we do. It's who we know, who is on the inside of us. And as we get to know him and fellowship with him and align our lives with him, then he, out of that intimacy, will flow through us and do these things by his Spirit through us to accomplish his big dream. Because that's what it's really about. It's not about our wishes, our wants, our desires, our preferences. It's about the Father's dream. And it's always been about his dream. And we got hijacked into thinking it was about us living this amazing, incredible life. And while it all sounds good, the reality is we are here to help accomplish his big dream. And he's going to do that through us with the gifts and the talents that he has and the purpose that he has for us. As we go along that path, he will use us to touch people, to lead people, to encourage people, to love on people. And in stepping out in obedience to what comes out of that intimate place of worship will be what we're supposed to do, and that will make the impact that we're supposed to make. So the opportunity to join the Heaven's Dream Builder Academy at the 997 ends on Sunday night at 11:59 Aleutian Standard Time, Hawaii time, about 10 hours behind Greenwich time. And so if you want to join us in this endeavor, if you want to become part of our family, I want to encourage you to step out, to invest in yourself, invest in your dream, and let us give you the knowledge, the wisdom, the understanding, and help you to accomplish your dream. And at the same time, like I said, you have the opportunity to help others live their dream by sharing the Heaven's Dream Builder Academy with them. And when you do, you make 40% of what the full enrollment fee will be, which is $1,997. That's going to be the full enrollment fee. You'll make 40% of that. That will fund your dream, and then we can go to work and help them with their dream. So that being said, I love you. Thank you so much for joining us during these 5-day challenges. Like I said, I hope it blessed you, and we'll talk to you later. Have a beautiful weekend. God bless you, and remember to continue your journey onward and upward. Bye-bye for now.